Jimbo Zodo Nimi Jang, Monum Jimbo Nagano, Gagardam Zanto Gilmondo, Tumba de Jana Gijan, Comme Chom Jane, Gotian Sambi Jana, Chanchu Sanhui, Santiti Jan, De, Chanchup Topi, Santiti Jan, Jan de Jago, Samba. Chandra Jura and Tendra, Jura Chestava, Hopi Samba and Technito, Hopi Samba Chernipa, Nibber Semba and Technito, Nibber Semba Chernipa, Jabaya and Technito, Jaba Chernipa, Yonsungwa and Technito, Yonsungwa, Tabnam Jan Technito, Tabnam Chernipa, Yonsa Taba and Technito, Yonsa Taba, Chirta, Janda Simpson, Yonsa Taba and Division, Simpson Yonsa Taba, Chirta, Janda Yisi Yonsa Taba and Division. Ici, on se trouve à Chirta, jeune de Tamba, on se trouve en division. Tamba, on se trouve à jeune de Ici, Dubai, on se trouve en division. Ici, Dubai, on se trouve à jeune de Rang Sim, on se trouve en division de Rigivete, Tavin, Absent de Saint-Roi, Santi, Jean, on se trouve chez Bando, Rang Sim, on se Jean Alain de Chao, Titi, Virgin, Chirta, Jean de Saint-Roi. On se trouve Java Santi, Jean, on se trouve en Gero, Tennis Santi, Tissedan, Bachari, Land of Niam de Semtecan, Chirtaver, Simeon se trouve Java, Jean de Saint Santi, Jean, on se trouve en Gerna, John de Shirkat of Jean de Saint Shoba Shobana, Tes Simeon se Matakam, Jenny Santi, Jean de Tavion se Matabar, no, Yamutini, John de Tissedan, Bachari, Simeon se trouve Tijim Kenny, Sedan Bachari, Landerkichi, Kasato, Shariva. Chirniam de Sim, Nimata, Dava Yons, Takam, Chinir Milong, Milon Tak Mamton, Sora, Chundan de Titter Malakso, Tenor Milon Tak Nondi, Nimata, Davin, Mayan, Manon, Katsar by Shariva, Division de Simson, Namle Division shall be Santi, Janga Yonda, Ji, Copa, Mamton, Aten, Simson Namji, and Mishipi, Ni, De la Division shall be Niba Mayano, Shariva Tit. Division shall be Santi, Jana Yonsa Tak Mochi, Juki Titter Mamton, Tenet, Rara Janji, Samba Rara Janjan, Nefton Sharivel and Dirkachir, Meso, Zamba Shariva, Division shall be Santi, Jan Yonsa, Mato Koji, Mazrichi, Zamba Shariva, Jondan de Gisanti, Jan Yonsa Tak Banderstate, Huena, Zamba Shariva, Jan. Wang Shiji, Harnam Janeki Koba, Chirta, Jondan de Shirkat, Santi, Jang Koba. Koi and Danger Tongo, Dini, Nefton Sharive, Samba, Rara Jalanderkachi, Me so, Samba, Ko, Sachimbondo, Togmandan, Sermadan, Yansadan, Ri, Zemodan, Namchokdan, Jingamji, Rapta Gamram Tongo, Samba, Rara Jangir Meba, Dirter, Sanji Jang, Dirter Sanji on Somato Bam Toano, Zamba Sharive, Togman Yojang, Zamba Shariva, Semlam Togman Yojang, Sanji, Ishi, Sambe on Somato Barangin so. Gangdak Zamba Shariva Simchin, Tamchilla, Sim Yamja, Sanji, Ishi, La Samba Yonsa, Togbe, Tirtava, Sanji, Jang, the Yonsa, Togbam Tongo, Tini, Jondan, the Giston, Giston, Jimbon, Jistingi, Kamdala, Jebki, Teungum Nante, and Teum Nante, none matter than Jistingi, Kamder, Rumboche, Tami, Zabada, Rumboche, Yarton, Tami, Sotak. Rimboche, Gaston, Thomas, Sosur Cooperativa, Undertarte, Huena, Tejan Shaba, Rimboche, Kopi, Jiktingi Kami on the Renchen Tai, Copa Genda, Jiktingi Kam the Dedan Jago, Tene, Tamchetan, than being courted on Mumsar, the Jerjan, Donikian, Rimboche, Pama Kopi, Stanla, and Digba, and Dictor Yam Rimboche, Pama Cooper, Stanla, and Digba, Yam, Shedo, Tene, John Digi, said on Dambashari, La Casara, Shariva Choki. Sanji Janga Yondam Kobandum, Tongama, Sora, Jondan de Tong Lazo, Mun Mamtonga, Matuji, Kubandastava, Dago, Katsara, Shariva, Sanji Janda, Stockton, Dundra Motia, Samjang Mamba Namla, Yonser membership, the division shall be Sanji Janda Titter, Niba Mambur, John Chapter Stone de Shariva and the Starte, Huena, Fever, number Rumbochis, not chick the Zion, Sonum Chirtaver, Sabi, Shepchaki, Leave, Dirty. Never on about the Janda, Shariv, Semchinji, Sanji, Jean Chick the Chiba Tagajan, Semchin Chirter Yonsa Tagba, Jenda, Sanji, Sanji Namji, Sanji Jenga, Kobam, Tongo, Sanji Jenga Yondanji, Koban, the Snan of Church, Gya Chi Juston, Lanami Payanda, Shanchip the Mumber, Shanchip the Simketo, Lanzaba John Ganta, Lutzamber John Kumchum Johnny, and Hanchik the Hagbar, Navgia. Ngabja potato, Jism Tambi Zopa Toper Kirto, Teni, Jumden de Kir Zemcher Tato, Ftervata, Teni, Santi Gijan, Mungi Ramjan the Kirto, Teni, Nyantu Gitaba Had, Murnam Land, Dunyam, the same day, Geman, Dushin, the Dogna Murtapo, Yam the Rigni, Truchak, Sumchin Nirtung, Churnam La Chuti, Murder Mech and Tramadan Tako, Gerlon, Yarton, Lemba Maper. Zakba le sim number trolo sanji jiang chimbola mubok chokchok shia gyat juston yang chu tamjir number mchri ni gyat justons di sanji ji komber no chokchok gyat juston lana me ka ngo burzo bachan sim kies dana ya gyat juston sanji jiang chimbola mubok chokchok Get Juston Yang, Chutamchip Jubala, near Japon, Sanya Ring, Lana Megan of Shan Sim Kiss. Jing sound on the Shanton. You never young them. Ah, Shima. Get Juston Jubala, some kiss so. 前面还有一个吧，84000的有酿出是吧？好像一样的是吧？好像是我也知道，好像是。
I also know maybe they have.
大把浪机，你是那个大藏经的版本吗
Do you also have the Tripitaka's Digger's printing version?
啊，这个。人多，也出去弄你要干。让到不是做不上去的什么阶段，上几几项用是到把浪子那个在当包我。什么
What is it?
对，有看到。
Okay, I saw that one too.
看到了啊。
I did see that.
我们现在继续讲。
Now let's continue with Vimalakirti Sutra. Last class, I had to. I had to attend some other things, so it was some incidents for the academy. Usually I don't stop classes. I don't stop classes for frivolous reasons. So I was really busy. Maybe later on I would be busy as well. But no matter what, tomorrow we'll also have class, but this next week I'm not quite sure yet. I have to make announcement day to day, therefore pay attention to the schedule. To some of you who have this eagerness to learn Dharma, you would definitely pay attention, isn't it? But for those of people who don't really pay lots of attention, they'd remember the class schedule sometimes and not some other times. So let's continue with the pure mind and pure land. This is the last class for this chapter. Let's give rise to the Supreme Bodhicitta. Whenever we listen to the Mahayana teachings, we should have this joyous mind. We should have a pure mind to listen to the Mahayana teachings. During our studying of this sutra, during attending this class, let's let go of those defiled thoughts, afflictions, and chores in your life and so on. Just let it go for one class of time. During the sutra, you may find some of the ways of thinking are quite different, and will rely upon some of the previous masters' commentary to different opinions of explaining the sutra. Of course, I don't have time to read all of the commentaries by previous masters, but I did look into, for example, Master Kuiji, Master Sun Zhao, and so on. Those teachings from their commentaries are really good. For those of you who look at Vimalakirti Sutra as a way of practice, as a practice manual, I encourage you to look into those commentaries. In fact, in the Tantrayana teachings, we talk a lot about the sacred outlook or purity. And in this sutra, as part of the Sutrayana teachings, we can also learn how the Buddha expounded the Dharma on the natural purity. And for those of you who are not practitioners, who are scholars, my teaching this time actually comprises the comparisons on the three versions, including Kumarajiva's version, Tibetan version, and from Tang Dynasty, Zhiqian's version. So lots of comparisons. If you're a scholar and would like to do some research and deeper study on the sutra, then I think this is also useful. This class is also useful. But of course, I don't want to teach this in a too expansive way that it goes on forever, because our lives are impermanent. We're all guests in this world. Therefore, I don't want to prolong this teaching. As I taught last time, there are different ways of expounding the Dharma. There are the ways of such as tiger leaping and snow lying, all different types. But if I use those types, which are really quick, of course those ones would be a little bit too fast, and maybe you don't quite understand how to use it, how to practice upon this sutra. All right, so let's get into today's teaching. Last time we talked about the Bodhisattva's Buddha land actually has lots to do with the aspiration and with the mind. As I said earlier, tomorrow there will be class on the Vimalakirti Sutra, and day after tomorrow's class, I'm not quite sure yet. Therefore, I'll make an announcement tomorrow. I have to make sure that I repeat this again and again so that you will hear it. Otherwise, there are people whose mind is not really on the teaching, and by the time they don't really know what's happening, and they won't be able to attend the teaching and so on. I think that's not really encouraged, isn't it? Yesterday, I said that, or last class, I said that there's a couple who didn't even miss even one class during 19 years of teaching, of study. Now you can reflect back to yourself and think about how many classes you missed or not missed. I think lots of people are doing really well in Larungar, but lots of people outside Larungar, I'm not sure. People who do not practice, who do not study, I think you don't really have to stay in Larungar unless, of course, you're trying to make a living over here, trying to work here and find a job here. Then what's the point of staying here? I knew that there are some lay practitioners and some practitioners who spend lots of their time on decorating their house and things other than studying the Dharma. Of course, once or twice is okay, but if you do it all year long, then what's the point of staying here? Now, of course, we can have a way to take attendance. For those of you who listen to Dharma on the internet, we could have set up a system where if you missed a class, you'll be marked. You have a red mark marking that you were absent. Of course, there are people who may just sign their name when they enter and then they go back to sleep, right? If you don't want to listen to Dharma, there are many ways. But we can also set up a system accordingly so that it could avoid such situations, isn't it? Now let's continue. The Buddha told the jewel accumulation or Ratnakara, saying that according to the Bodhisattva's sincerity, does the Bodhisattva generate his practice. That means the Bodhisattva could make such aspiration, and then his practice or his action could also be sincere and kind. As Jigme Phuntsor Rinpoche said, the profound Dharma can only be obtained by people who have kind heart. I will post it on my Tibetan Weibo, the Weblog. If this person's kind, then the action of this person would also be kind. Sincerity. What is sincerity? As we said earlier, sincerity means this profound, this mind that would continue without disturbance. In order to tame beings, in order to tame their ignorance, their desire, and their anger, in order to lead them to the kind path instead of the unkind path. It is said that if the mind is very sturdy, then it is possible to be tamed, to be led to the kind path. That is to say, you know that it's going to be a difficult path, yet you still follow it, yet you still have the courage to tame your mind. Also, you can follow the teachings. If you can follow the teaching of the teacher, then you can continue with the practice of rededication. So you can rededicate your merits and act accordingly. and you will be able to dedicate your merit to all sentient beings and aspire all the sentient beings to attain the Buddhahood. According to Master Kuiji's commentary, it is stated that from the beginning, from the sincerity to rededication of merit, according to Master Kuiji, this is actually about the practice of or to be a good human. So to arise a really good heart according to the standards of mundane world. And the second paragraph, starting from rededication to the merits or pure mind, this part is according to the practice. Over here it says, according to his rededication, does the Bodhisattva have skillful means? And with such skillful means, it does not fall into the three types of existence. According to Master Kuiji, it says that there are three types of skillful means. One is a practice of good action, skillfulness of practice in good action. And two is skillful means of not attaining the arhathood according to Hinayana. And third one is to have skillful means of taming all sentient beings. Therefore, over here, the most important skillful means is actually the third one, to tame sentient beings. Because we have to rely on the skillful means to tame the sentient beings. The skillful means to tame sentient beings. Skillful means including teaching, including using the 6 paramitas. And all those kind of skillful means are used to mature all sentient beings, so that they can accomplish liberation. As last time we said, we learned last time, if the bodhisattvas build the Buddha land according to the capacities of the sentient beings. So if the sentient beings could be tamed, then the Buddha land would also unfold in such a way. If the sentient beings are pure, then the Buddha land is pure. Then the Dharma is pure. The Dharma that's taught in the Buddha land is pure. There's no slandering, no impure language, and no incorrect view, and so on. If the Dharma is pure, then all the wisdom of the sentient beings are pure. Because they will attain, for example, no self and Four Noble Truths and so on. If their mind is pure, then all the sentient beings, their mind would be pure, because the wisdom derived from mind, isn't it? If the mind is pure, then all the merits are pure. In the Tang's translation, it actually has more verses where it says that if the merits are pure, then the wondrous actions are pure, and so on. There are a few going on. So it's a little bit different than the Kumarajiva's version of translation. So over here it says, if the mind is pure, then all the merits, all the actions are also pure. The mundane merits and the transcendent merits are all pure. So, if the mind is pure, then you know that the whole Buddha land would be pure. As in the Flower Adornment Sutra, it says that if the Buddha land, if the sentient being's mind is pure, then the sentient beings perceives the purity of the Buddha land.
他这里呢，就是讲这个这一切功德呢，就是会清净的。所以说啊，是故呢，就是佛告诉这个报具菩萨，如果菩萨欲得净土，
Therefore, to accumulation, if the Bodhisattva wishes to attain Pure Land, he should purify his mind. So I think all of you should memorize this. This is the thesis of this chapter. The thesis of this chapter is pure mind is pure land. So it means that only if your mind is pure, your land could be pure. For people who don't really know Dharma, we also say that, isn't it? We hear people who are not practitioners, they also say this verse. This is rather popular in China. Of course, they know how to say it, but they don't really know the profound meanings behind of it. In fact, the most important thing about teaching this one is actually the thesis. Is actually the main idea from the great perfection, where it says that if you have a pure mind, then everything is pure. If you don't understand the profound theories behind that, then it's very difficult for you to understand the whole theory. So if you don't understand, then you can't fathom the profundity of it. So during your later on studies and learnings and readings, you can then learn about all the theories behind why as stated in Gyohagarbha Tantra, where it is stated that the five aggregates, the form, the perception, and so on, are all the five Buddhas. And the five elements, earth, fire, space, and so on, are the female Buddhas, according to Rosam Bantita, and according to many masters, it is said that the five aggregates are no other than the five Buddhas, and the five elements are no other than the five female Buddhas. In the Tantra, this is very explicitly explained. It is actually also stated in the Sutrayana teachings, where it says that the afflictions are also bodhi. So I encourage you to read Seven Treasures, as well as the 17 Tantra teachings. This is not just a theory. There are many piece instructions stated in those where it directly points out that if you have a pure mind, everything you perceive is pure. In fact, everything is pure already. So I encourage you to really understand or study Tantrayana teaching so that you'll be able to understand this teaching, to understand the Sutra. I know lots of people who are also teaching Vimalakirti Sutra, and I know there are people writing commentaries on Vimalakirti Sutra. So go and study and read that, and you can compare those yourself. Without understanding the Tantrayana teachings, it's very difficult to get into the profundity of such sutra. Everything is already pure in nature. But in the world, we may perceive it differently if our mind is not pure. For example, Ponsok Rinpoche, when we went to Mount Wutai, Ponsok Rinpoche could actually perceive Manjushri himself. And later on, I flipped through many books and many commentaries by previous masters, and I realized that Manjushri stated that he would actually manifest in many forms, sometimes as beggars, sometimes as females, sometimes as children, and so on. On the way to Wutai Mountain, I try to perceive everyone as Manjushri. Sometimes I would point, oh, maybe this is Manjushri. That is also a manifestation of Manjushri. So from time to time, you can also try to perceive everyone like that. And tame your mind like that. Slowly, you'll be able to perceive a pure land. There's a story on the Manjushri's hair stupa. Around the North Wei dynasty, one day this small temple actually started offering food to everyone. It is to everyone equally. So at that time, there's a female beggar who had one child in her arms, holding one child in one of her hands, and there's a dog also followed her. So she went there to also ask for food. And she offered a strand of her hair to the person who were distributing food. According to the regulations of that monastery, they were not supposed to give food to animals. But after request from this female beggar, then this person did give the food to the dog as well. And then the female beggar said, I'm also pregnant with one person. I'm also pregnant, so you should give me one more serving of the food. And at that time, the person who was serving her food got really furious. At the time he was scolding her, she actually rose all of a sudden into the mid of the air and became the manifestation or appeared in the form of Manjushri. So at that time, Manjushri actually stated a 4-sentence verse. And he said that ordinary beings try to treat everyone equally, yet their minds drift with the changes of external conditions. numerous bodies were abandoned in their previous lives, and which one deserved their love and which one made them aversive. So that's stated by Bodhisattva Manjushri. It is also said these verses are carved into stone afterwards because the monk who were giving her food wanted to remember this. At that time, when I went to Wutai Mountain back in the 80s, I tried to circumambulating the Manjushri's hair tower many times, and all of a sudden I realized there's this the aspiration to great perfection, which I couldn't memorize before, but all of a sudden I memorized that. I'm not sure if it's completely because of circumambulating. Maybe it's because I already remembered it, just not really fluently back then. So in our mundane life, we may not be able to perceive Manjushri as Manjushri. In the aspiration to Sukhavati, there's a story. Actually, I think I told that story before, so not telling it today. Back in 2013, in July, I think I taught this class called Pure Mind and Pure Land in Hong Kong Chinese University. So I quoted a lot from Vimalakirti Sutra. Back then, I taught it from the more scholarly aspect. But this time, I think if we can try to learn the sutra from a practitioner's point of view, to see it as a practice manual, then it would be very much helpful to ourselves, isn't it? As in the light of clear realization, the essence of clear light, actually, it is stated by Mipa Rinpoche that it is not that everything is impure and we're trying to perceive everything as pure or force ourselves to perceive everything as pure. It is that the nature of everything is already pure. So if you can combine these teachings with your own practice, that could be very meaningful. We should really get into the depth of the teaching, not only pay lip service. During the first chapter of the essence of clear light, I think we talked a lot about the purity of the phenomena, and I think lots of the Vajrayana students probably understood. Now, at that time, Shariputra, influenced by the Buddha's blessings, all of a sudden had this thought. And he thought to himself, if the Bodhisattva's Buddha land is pure, according to the purity of Bodhisattva's mind, then when our world honored one was still a Bodhisattva, his mind must have been pure. Nevertheless, this Buddha land is so impure. It is all defiled and so filthy all the time. Even till this day, you all know that the hygienes in India is still a problem, isn't it? So at that time, Buddha already knew what Shariputra was thinking. So he told Shariputra, or he asked Shariputra rather, he said, why do you think like that? although the blind men do not see the sun and the moon, but is it really the sun and the moon's
是不是
fault?
认为呢？就是盲人，就是盲人的过失，还是指这个太阳和月亮他们的过失？就
Whose fault is
也
it?
可以对，就也可以这么说吧。就是当时佛陀呢，就是用一个比喻来，就是告
So
诉
the
这个
Buddha
舍利弗啊，你觉得是盲
taught
人这个看不见
Shariputra
的月
with
的
a
话呢
metaphor.
实际上是盲人的这个原因呢，还是这个太阳月亮的原因啊？就是我们这个太阳和月亮，就是
Sun
韩文
and
当中
moon.
很有意思，就是日月，就是
I
命
think
呢，就日月的名字，就是那
Chinese are
那
quite
天我有时候是
Chinese
我用那个
characters are
命
quite
字
interesting.
我在那个很多地方呢，我
Sun
用命
is
命
日
这
and
是20多年，大概是
Yue is moon. And if you combine these two characters together, it means
97年的时候我
brilliant
经常
or
用
illuminate.
就前面有另外一
or
个字
light
这个不能说，就是然后但是后来看起来好像这个缘起就比较好。就是
I actually
一个是
used this
我们这个标准
character
呢，就是日和月有一点
as
关系
part of a name before.
还有一
I
些
can't
其他的
really
就是
disclose
所
the
以
whole name to you.
这个名韩文的这个
But I
字啊
think
就是
the
以前那个甲骨文
dependent
这个形式的
origin,
话
I
呢
think
也是比
it
较
was
比较
quite
好
an
的，就是
auspicious
还是
coincidence I used
我
that
是对
word.
这个名字呢，就是比较
I really like the
比较
word
有好
Ming
感
or
啊，
the
就是西
light.
方人说的话有兴趣啊。
I'm quite interested in that in the words of Westerners.
所以这个盲人呢，就是看不到，就是什么原因呢？因为
What's the
他下面
reason
就是
of
这个
not
舍利
being
弗对
able to
佛说
perceive
啊，
the
就
sun
是
and moon
这
by
不
the
是这
blind
样的，
man?
就是世尊呐，就是实际上是
Now
是这个
Shariputra
盲人的这个
answered,
过去啊，就是盲人
Well,
的过
world
去而
honored
并
one,
不是
this
是
is
太阳
the
月亮
fault
的
of the
原
blind
因，
and
不
not
是他们的这
because
个
of the sun
错
and the
误。就是
moon.
太阳月亮就是在虚空当中的话呢，因为盲人就是他没有这个
Because
严
sun
格
and
的
the
原因
moon
啊，就是他
are
就看不到。
in the
那么
sky,
这
and
个时
it
候
is
就是佛
because
陀告诉
the
舍利
blind
弗啊，就是
one
那同样
cannot
的道
see.
理。那么终身的罪的缘故呢，实际上是他们
So
就
the
是
Buddha
见
said
不到
it
这个
is
如来的
exactly
这
the
种
same
清净法
reason.
度
It is
啊，就是佛陀的这个庄严清净的法
because
度啊，这一
the
点呢，
sentient
就是不
beings
是因为这个如来的这
do
个原
not
因
see
啊，
the
就是佛告诉这个
Tathagatas
舍利弗啊，
Buddha
我
land
的这个
because
刹
of
土
their
呢，就是实际
transgressions,
上是
and
本来
not
就是这样这个
this
清
is
净的
not
但是
the
你呢，就是
Tathagatas'
一直
fault.
一直见不到的，因为他刚才讲说哦，可能释迦牟尼佛因地的时候，他的发愿不清净，是应该是这个
Because
原
at the
因。
first,
然后佛陀呢，就
at
告诉
first, Shariputra
佛陀我
thought,
的这个刹土
oh,
呢
it
就是
was
是清净的啊，就是
Is
这
it
个
because of
这
the
不过是这个你自己看
Buddha's
不到啊，以这个盲人一
aspiration
样
was
的
not
这个
pure? That's why
声
this
闻
land
这
is
个
not pure.
这个心智啊，就是你
So
跟这个
that's why the
自己
Buddha
自己
replied,
这个眼识慧眼
This
已经
land of mine
下
is
了，
pure,
就没有
but you
了，
do
就是
not
所
see
以你
it.
就看不到这个世
You
界的真相。
Shravaka Yanas
正在
do
那个
not
时候呢，
see the
就是
pure
他们佛
land
陀
of
和这个
mine.
舍利子正在
Just
这样
as
这个
the
辩论
blind
也
do
好，
not
交
see
谈
the
也
sun
好，
and
就
moon.
这个时候呢，有一个叫这个罗辑藩王呢，就是来到这里。
So at that time,
罗辑藩王是
the
一个刚
Conchcrest
才那个参加
Brahma
法会
king,
的一个可能天王吧，就是
he's
天王。
a Brahma
那这个
king who
罗辑这个
attended
词呢
the
就我们
assembly
以前那个大荒王里面就是
that was
翻译的
mentioned
是
before.
聚集梵天啊，就是具有发髻的这个梵天，就是
It has different translations in
也
Chinese.
有这个玄奘的话呢，就是赤髻
According
见
to
赤髻
Xuanzang,
就是
Master Xuanzang, it
也可
also
以说
said
吧
that
就是他
he's
带有那种
he
带有
has
这
a
种
hair
发髻
that
他这里是罗辑藩王，就是罗辑，还有
in
那
the
个
shape of
我
a
们之前的
conch
叫做
or
是什么？就是
is
说是编发泛指啊，就是编发泛指。
on
泛指
top
是一
of
般是
his
破门
head.
就是但是婆罗门的话呢，就
It
是也有一些故事说
his
是他是这个翻点的
his
罪
name
过
is
出来的
also
就是以前那个一般
translated
印度的一些故
as
事里面，就是印度的一些故事当中呢，也有
he
这样
has
这样的。所以我
hair
们一般
and
就是
braids.
婆罗门呢，就是经常
So
叫
maybe
翻
that
指
braids
翻
is
指
also
四大众性的这些人呢，都有不同的来源和故事，就是所以这里
put
呢
up
就是有不同的这
on
个说
top
法
of his，
大
head.
多数说法都是一样的，但这里逻辑藩王的话呢。逻辑藩王的话呢，有些解释的人呢，
Some of
就
the
是说是他的那个
explanations
发髻啊，就
are
是他的发髻呢，就是像那个海螺性的，就是那种发髻，好像这个英文当中也是这样。
Some of the
就是
explanations
它那
of
个
his name
怎么讲，就是海螺一样
are
就是那样的这种
according
这
to
个藩王是这样
the
的
hairstyle
梵
that
天
he wore,
但是这是一个其他这个插图，
which is
其他星球
conch
来的这个
shaped hair.
这个星球，可能你们一说星球的话，有点怪怪的，是吧？外星人。 其他世界来的，好吧？那就我就说好一点。
Maybe he's from a different planet, but he's not an alien.
逻辑翻网啊，就是逻辑翻网
Maybe
的
from a less sci-fi fiction description would be he came from a different
然后
world.
那个鸠摩罗什和汤神呢，就是梵网，到底是梵天和梵网都可以吧？就是他这里梵天梵网。
玄奘's version
他当时这样说的，他当时说这个告诉舍利弗啊，就是说你不要这么想啊，就是像那个说是这个擦图呢就是不清净，你不要这么想，就是你不要像这个就藏文的说不要说，但这里不要想也可以吧，就是为这个擦图呢就是不清净，你不要。
In Tibetan it says think, but in Chinese it's saying it's don't say this. Don't think like this. Don't say like this. Maybe because Shariputra already said it. There is a little bit difference. The difference is on whether Shariputra said it or not.
他说你那就这一段呢，就是我们那个大方王当中也是有吧，就是这个当时们仁波切建那个清净的见解呢，就是有这个校正案例和这个例证案例，就是校正案例的时候，他引用这个经典的这个校正啊，用本来是大方王就是但大方王呢，他用什么呢？就是他用先宗的一个经典，所以我们那个大方王注释中呢，他用很多先宗的这个经典来，就包括我们下面文物经的黄州的校正呢，就是也已经用上了，这个很重要的。我们现在很多佛教徒呢，就认为是这个密宗里面有一些见解呢，跟我们先宗不合，就是是不是不合理，就是这种说法。如果我们懂那个先宗，也这个比较明白这个密宗，就觉得先宗要解释
from the Sutrayana teachings.
没有的话呢，密宗的经没有的话，先宗的有些经典真的很难解释啊。你看烦恼集菩提的话呢，很多先宗经典里面就是烦恼，烦恼怎么是菩提？就是哪些烦恼就是贪心
completely explain the Sutrayana teachings. For example, afflictions is just the afflictions are no other than bodhi, than the bodhi mind. Without the understanding of Tantrayana, how can you explain such? Can you say that the practice is already Bodhi? You can't really completely explain it. How is affliction just the Bodhi mind? It is not that I am trying to say, trying to praise Tantrayana because I study such, but you have to study and contemplate so that you'll be able to compare and you'll be able to differentiate or judge for yourself whether if it is reasonable. There are people who don't really pay a lot of attention in study, who don't spend a lot of time in studying, and they just spend their time in slandering. How is that helpful at all? If you are a Buddhist, then you should study systematically, study the Sutrayana and Tantrayana. Don't just take refuge and don't listen to any class and call yourself a Buddhist. Just like if you want to study English, Japanese, or French, you can't just attend one class. You vaguely know what those languages are, and you can call yourself a linguistic. You can't do that because whenever people ask you to speak in English or Japanese, can you really reply them in that language? To study a language, it takes 5-6 years. It is the same for Buddhism. It is at least you have to systematically study for 5 years or so. So as a Buddhist, if you want to deny some of the teachings taught in the Dharma, then at least you should study 5 to 10 years within that subject that you want to deny, so that you will be able to have enough reasoning to defeat that theory, isn't it? In Tibet, we say, if you shoot out an arrow in blindfold, how can you shoot anything at all? How can you hit the target? So nobody would worry if you are shooting out with a blindfold. I got really distracted. The interpreter corrects herself. The teaching by Mipa Rinpoche is essence of luminosity. Luminosity. 就像是这个自在天宫一模一样的，他就比喻， the Conchcrest Brahmakin said to Shariputra that I see it by my own eyes that this land of Shakyamuni Buddha is pure, just as the palace of Ishvara.
释迦牟尼佛已经说是这个我的这个刹土是这个清净的，然后罗辑王王也出来说这个是我亲眼见到的，这个世界
Buddha land is already pure, and it is only that Shariputra do not see it.
就藏文里面说是这个自在，这个他化自在天了。
Ishvara over here, a palace of Ishvara.
他化自在天来比喻呢，就是欲界当中啊，就按照窥基大师
In fact, according to Master Kuiji's commentary, it is said that over here, it is the best of the realm, or within the realm of desire. Everything within here is contaminated, but it's already the best within the realm of desire. This is also said that's where the Mara resides.
这个非常的这个，它书用非常的圆满，就是依靠这个一些身边呢，就是直接这个出现的，就像极乐世界一样的，就像这个，所以释迦牟尼佛的这个世界的话呢，实际上就像是自在天宫，就是这个他化自在天宫一样的，就非常这个书用非常圆满的，就是非常清净的。那么这个时候呢，
So in comparison,
真在这个时候，
this is using something that's contaminated to compare to the uncontaminated pure Buddha land.
这个舍利弗呢，就是舍利弗就是他现在还是不承认，就是说他说不行，就是
At that time, Shariputra still don't want to recognize that, and he said that, but I still see hills and hollows and thistles and thorns and earth and rocks and mountains. They're all defiled. As we all say, there's sand and there are hills. In Chinese, actually, it is the brambles could be separated. One is without thorns, just like a vine, and the other one is with the thorns. In some languages, you could separate those two. In some, you don't. In some languages, you can separate sand and rocks, and some you can't. Even in mountains, you can still see hills and mountains. I still remember when I studied geography. As a child who grew up in a remote area, we don't really have any information coming from outside. So our teacher would teach us that in this world there are plateaus, there are basins, and there are deserts and oceans, and there's New Zealand and Australia. When I went there, I remembered how my geography teacher taught us clearly. So I thought that was quite funny, because we listened to the teacher's description just as a children's story, a fairy tale. And I heard there are also different animals living in different places, such as there are camels living in the desert. We only watched some of the movies that depicted. Sometimes we watch movies, but the movies we watch only depicted the Second World War at that time. I remembered that the geography teacher would draw a rather half-circle mountain and told us this is hills. And I said, well, that can't be true because all the mountains that I've seen were all pointy. They're all triangular. But later on, when I did go out and I saw, for example, Rocky Mountains and also ocean, such as Austria and New Zealand, they were all encircled by ocean. They even have little islands on the sides. And sometimes I would think, why don't they sink into the ocean? Children who grew up in remote area in the mountains, actually their minds are quite simple. When I studied geography, I did a little cheat sheet, which are not good. But oh well, let's get back to maybe. Oh well. I think at that time it's quite common to have large exams and some of the teachers would teach the students how to plagiarize during exams. But of course, for some of the Westerners and for people outside of the Chinese educational system, you probably don't understand and may even think that's quite shameful. But maybe because the teachers in China within the system, they need to promote better grades so that they can have bonus. But this is not good. Okay, anyway, let's get back. At that time, Conchcrest Brahmakin said that it is because you, Shariputra, your mind has highs and lows. The Shravakayanas, they have rather lower or smaller mind compared to the Bodhisattvas who have much broader. It is also said in the commentary that this Conchcrest Brahmakin has already attained the Dharmakaya, and he's manifested from that. So, Shariputra, you perceive this land as impure, but the Bodhisattva is the same and treats everyone in equanimity. That is how he could perceive the land as pure. It is said in the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment that sentient beings and worlds have the same Dharma nature. Both hells and heavens are pure lands. In fact, if your mind is pure, then there is no difference between hells and heavens. So, relying on the wisdom of the Buddha, then you can see such pure land. So, the Buddha used his supreme transcendental power
然后呢就是见到这个国土清净。
pointed
那么佛陀以
the
这个他的
earth
这个教制啊，就是按这个大地。
with
那
his
个时候
toe.
呢，就是整个3000大千世界啊，
At that time,
就全部呢
instantly the
变成这个清净。
Trimegachiliocosm completely
就是整个大千世界。
changed,
那么这个呢，就像是一
and
个佛陀
everything's
叫做
ornamented
这个
with
报
100,000
庄严
jewels.
佛啊，就是报庄严佛，就是报
There's a
庄严佛
Buddha,
就是
his
他插图
name's
非常清净的一个佛陀。那么他的
jewel
插图呢，
ornament.
就是叫做就是他的插图呢，就是无量功德所庄严的一个插图，
And
就像
his
就像是
land
他的插图一样的。 啊，就是也就是说，
is
这个报庄严
adorned
佛
with
报庄严佛的，就是这
many
个
different
功德
jewels.
功德报庄严的插图一样的，就是
And
这
at
个
that
娑婆
time,
世界
when
呢，就是
Buddha
看成
transformed
这样。
this
当然
land,
这句话呢，在有些译本当中稍微
the
有一点
Buddha
不同
land
的，比如
looks
说
just
这
like
吴志谦
the
的
jewel ornament
吴志
Buddha's
谦的那个
Buddha
译本当
land.
中的话呢，就是这个
In
比喻呢，
Wu
就是
Zhiqian's
没有特别
translation,
明显，就是他说有各
there's
种这个
no
珍宝啊。 就是庄严的这个佛插图，
apparent
就是它就
metaphor such
把
as
这
stated
个佛
over
的，它
here,
真的是有一个另外一个
but
如
it
来的
is
这个插图作为
stated
比喻，
that
就是就像极乐世界一样，就是它是这样的。
there's a
但是
comparison
这里呢
not
就是
to jewel ornament
按照
Buddha,
这个
but
刘志谦
compared
的
to
之前的
a
翻译的话呢
Buddha
他
that
直接
was
说是各种珍
rather
宝所庄严的，就是意思是
that was
这样，就是所以
rather
有些这个译
vague,
本方面的话
and
稍微有一点不同。
it was just said
意
that
思就是说，这
the
个依靠这个佛陀的这种威
Shakyamuni
神，让我们
Buddha's
众生
land
这个心得到
immediately
这个平
transformed
静，这
into
个
a
时候
Buddha
呢，
land
就完
that
全能
looks
见到，
just like the
我们
pure,
这个
just
娑婆世
like
界的
a
这个插图
Sukhavati
的话
Pure
呢，全
Land.
部是跟这个报养什么这个报庄严如来的这个插图一模一
So at
样。
that time,
那么
the
这
Buddha
个
land
时
is
候呢，
just
就是一
like
切
the
大
jewel
众
ornament
就
Buddha's
是
land.
贪为蹭有，就是所有的这个大众呢，就是大家都
And the
非
great
常的这个
assembly
感叹啊、喜悦啊，就欢喜啊，
all
就是大
were
家
very
而
happy.
自己的话呢，就是他们自己呢，就是也见
And
到
they
就是
themselves
就是都坐在自己的这个庄严的
also
这个抱念上面
perceived
呢，
themselves
而且
as
自己呢
sitting
就是
on
就烦恼
many
就是得以
jeweled
这个清
lotus
净，
flowers,
都
and their
都有这个
afflictions
这样
were
清
all
净啊，就这样的
cleansed.
清净。那么这段经历的话呢，就是不仅是这部经典当中，你们
This is not
看那
only
个大般涅
stated
槃经啊
in
就是当时佛要
Vimalakirti
做这个大
Sutra.
般涅槃经
In
的时候的
the
话呢，实际上大般涅槃经当中呢，
Great
也是这个
Parinirvana
三千
Sutra,
大千
it
世
is
界的
also
话呢，
said
就是依
that
靠这个
all
佛的这个
the
为神呀，就全部都
Trimegachiliocosm
变成这个
were
庄严清净，
transformed
就像
into a
极乐世界
pure
一样的，就是
and
也有
ornamented
也有
Buddha
这样的
land
佛陀在
by
特殊
the
的时候呢
transcendental
他
power
就
of the
下次
Buddha.
就是让众生的这个心呢，就是安住在这个这样
It
的
is
这种
due
清净
to
的状态当中。
the
这个时
blessings
候呢，
of
就是
the
他们就
Buddha.
是如理如实的能见
Everything
到
was
就是什么呢
transformed,
就是
and
见
everyone's
到就是
mind
整个
was
世界的
transformed.
这种清净
So
啊，
it
就
was
是
a
身体
life
清净。
altering
然后这个时候佛告这个舍利弗啊，
experience
就
at
是
that
你
time.
看那个佛陀呢，就是是不是这个清净的？那么舍利弗就是这个时候就
And
回
then
答
Buddha
就
asked
说啊，
Shariputra
是
said,
确实
"Do you
是这
see
样
that
是这样
pure Buddha
本来
land
都
now?"
是这个本来清净的，但是我没有见到，
And
也没
Shariputra
有
said,
听到的。那么今天
"So
呢，
it
就依靠
is,
这个
world
佛
honored
的这
one.
种为神的呢，就是才
Originally, I do
真
not
正
see
的
it
见到，就所以这
and
个
do
心
not
啊，就
hear
是
it.
真的
And now,
很
because
这
of
个
the
关键
Buddha's
的。
transcendental power, I do see
那
the
么
purity of
就是你看这个现在的话呢，就是舍利弗也自己就承认了，就是这个故事啊，我希望我们听说我们这个每一品呢，就是有一些
I know at the end of each chapter we will have
就大伙儿想看。有的话，就
we'll
我希望
have
今天所教导的
quiz
这个
on
对话也好，这个再三的
oral
思维，你们
quiz
光听
on
一节课就，然后就是
repeating
第一节课
the
最多是
chapter.
1个小时，1个小时
So,
你听
repeating
一
the
下就，然后
the
这样的话
teachings
肯
on the
定就是
chapter.
消化不了的，就是还要多次的研究啊！你今天是你
So I
如果
really
20
hope that
几
you
岁的话
could
呢，你40
remember
几岁的、
this.
60几岁的时候，你还要思考这个道理。那个时候呢，你
I
会
really
明白
hope
心经过
all
去
of
的
you
道理
here
所以我们
could
有些深深的道理呢，就是不要
contemplate
因为一
on
次
this
啊，
again
就
and
就像我
again.
们看
Don't
电
just
影啊，就是看小说啊
listen
这样的话
to
呢，就
this
是
class for 1
看过
hour
后我
and
们就
that's
可以了
it,
就扔到那边
and
去了
discard it
然后我看过这个三国
just
演义
as
就
if
可以
you
了啊，三国
were
演义
reading
呢
some
是它是什么一
worldly
个境界，就
fictions.
这样。
As
这
long
个
as you
这个
know
道
what's
理啊
happening
意思
there,
不
that's
同
enough.
希望
That's
大
not
家
the way
应
to
该
study
这个
Dharma.
认真的
You
去
should
去思考啊，
spend
去思
time
考。
after class to contemplate.
那么这个呢，就是下面就
So
是
that you can
我啊，就
remember,
是
for
告诉这
example,
个
if you're
舍利
20,
弗，
you
就
can
是我
remember
的这个
it
佛
till
法呢
your，
就是常
40s
进
and
入死，
60s.
如果你没有见到，哎，这句 话很重要的，就是我的福果是常己入世的。
And now the Buddha said to Shariputra, "My Buddha land is always pure." This is quite important to remember. This is always pure, not just pure at the time of Buddhist
他就
blessings.
这里这样一个比喻啊，就像这个田人呢，就是共同用的一个
So
宝
over
器，
here, there's another metaphor.
就是吃饭
It is said
的那
that
种宝器啊。那么随着田人
just
的
like
福德
all
不
the
同呢，
devas,
就是
all the
这个他
God,
所
all
得到
the
的这个饭的这个
beings
色
that
呢
live in
有
God
所不同
realm,
的啊，就是他
where
是田人的话呢，就是大锅饭就很多都是
where they'd
就是依靠
eat
一种
from
宝器来用，
one
就是一个大锅就是像一样
large
的
pot
然后食物在
that
那里
is
呢，就靠他
adorned
们
by
的这种
different
产品
jewels.
和福德里
They
面
would
就
eat
出
from
现
one
出现
pot.
的时候呢，每个天人
And
就开始数转，就是拉到他每个
each
手里的时候
heavenly
呢，就
being,
是
they
因为
would
那个
reach
各自的
out,
福德不同的
reach
原因
into the
呢，
pot,
有些是比
grab
较
their
这
own
个
food.
就颜色方面呢，还是有很多的这个天然的甘露啊，就本来甘露是
Although the food
但是
looks
拉到他
all
的脏物里
really
面所有的
beautiful
甘
to
露
start
然后
with, but
得到这个
each
他手里的四个
different
呢，其实都不同的
heavenly beings
那么
would
这就是众生的这个福德不
hold
同啊，就是
once they
你
hold the
观
food
念
in
当
their
中讲
hand,
了
the
心
food
境
would
什么
change
心
to
境
different
不是这个
colors
心境
and
心这个
different
大会
flavors
世界大会
depending on
真的
their own
真的这样，就是
mind.
有时候我们可能包括我们这个
According
4个
to
道友
the
呢
Sutra
就是一起
of
去
observing the
吃饭
mind
吃饭
as
的时候呢
the
有
foundation
三个那个
of all
道友就是
phenomena,
心的清净
it
然后
says
有
that
六
a
位
pure
道友的
mind
心
leads
境
to
的
a
话呢
beautiful
同样
world,
是一
and
个
a filthy mind
这个
leads to a
餐厅
filthy
里面所
world.
做的就是同样的饭，然后
Just
三个
like
哇今天特别不好吃
Three
就是
people
太我的
goes
想不
to a
哇
restaurant
就是就不太想吃，然后就三个的哇太好吃了，这跟
And
天然的甘露一模一样的，就是我的这辈子没有
some of them they would
美味佳肴，就是从来都没有试过，
they'd
可能
feel
会有
this is
不同的
really
这个业感
delicious,
就是
and
真的
some would
真
feel
的这
this
个
is
世界上呢就是
really
有很多事情都是这样的，就是我们自己
the
包括我们
food
这个
tastes really
人类就是
disgusting
有些认为是好看
and
的，有些
vomiting.
认为是不好看的，有些认为
We have
好
different
吃的东西
standards.
就是有些认为是不好
Some
吃的这个
people
东
may
西啊
feel this
就是
is
包括我
good
们
food, and
所
some
看
people
到的
may
就
feel
是
this is
就很多很多的这
bad
个
food.
东西啊，就是我看到有些时候我们现在
depending
有
on
一个
their
叫做
different
那个
mind
什么这个
mindset.
秋楠画，就有一种画就各种颜
There's this
色的，有些人说
flower.
哇这个
It
画
has
在
many
家里特
different
别
flower.
像
It has different
有
colors.
些时候说哇
Some
就是
people
这
say
个
this
就
is
是特
this
别
one
臭
smells
就是
so
就不要
good.
这个
You
放
should
在那里
you should
有
plant
有
one
些这
at
个
your
什么
home
牛
so
眼
that
啊
your
就是牛
whole
眼
room
有
would
些呢
smell
有的认为是
fragrant.
特
And
别
but
好
some
看
would
特
say
别好
that
吃
this one
有些
smells
呢就是可能
terrible.
这个放在屋子里面的时候，
Just
它
get
担
away
心里
from
面有
it.
一些不净分，就是然后
And just
就
like
听说是
some-
照半天，就不是不净分。
Some
就是原来
really
是
like the
原来
fruit
是这个人
durian
们都
that
喜欢吃的
smells
那个
terrible,
每个这
or
这种
someone would feel
真的
that it
业力
smells
是非常
terrible,
重
and
的
someone
包
that
括我们现在这个像
someone
猪肉啊
really
就是
like the
这些的
taste
话呢
and smell
他们
of
认为
it.
不净分是很好的这个美味，就是人们我们这个业力共同的这个人呢
People
就
have
认为是
very
它是
different
很不好
karma.
的原来有一个 好像
For
不是
example, dogs really
就是
like
有一个视频，就是视频，国外的
like
一
to
个人就是
eat
他就
outside
以前
of
住了那个猫头鹰
the
后来那
garbage
个猫
and
头鹰
all
的话
that,
呢
but people
就被
don't
他
like
暴
it,
打
isn't
摁
it?
的但是这个人呢，就是经常打开窗户的时候呢，窗户里面
There's a
飞过
story
来然后
of
就是他就
a
给他
person
那
who
个
saved an owl
就是
and an
老
owl.
鼠的尸体老鼠的尸体
And
然后喂给他，就是
After
那个人也
the
是比较
owl
开心
healed
的
from
就是
the
他可能没
injury,
有吃吧，但作为猫头鹰来讲是这个是老鼠是它
this
最好的
person
美味
set
就是最好
the
的食物
owl free,
然后我们人的
and
话可能
later on,
就
I will
很臭的，就是
constantly
不愿意
come
吃啊
back
就是可能
with a
不愿意
mouse
吃
as a
同
gift
样的
to
道理
this person
我们
who saved
实践
him.
当中的很多的脏也好，就是干净也好啊，
But
就是
as human
性就是
beings,
大
we
会
don't like
真的是
rats
这
or
个
a
世
mouse.
界就是大
But
会性
to
就是
the
世界
owls,
就是
that's
是
probably
境
the
界
best
这个道理呢
gift
我们
that
可
he
能
could offer,
逐渐
isn't
的
it?
就是去观察，就是然后你自己就是在慢慢的就明白，就是其中的
Slowly, you
道
should
理啊。就所以
observe
它
from
这里呢
your
就是讲了
life and observe from your
很多的这个
experience, and you will be
就
able
是
to
这个天然的
understand
比喻，就是
the
这个天然
meaning
的
of
比喻呢，当然我们没有这个
pure
我们不是
mind
天
and
然
pure
的，不知
land.
道天然的生活是怎么样，他们的大锅饭是怎么样，我们不是特别清楚。
We don't really
但是
know
我们
how
人间的这个很多
the
道理呢，就是真的
heavenly
很
beings
容易很清楚的。
enjoy
我
this
们
one pot
这
of
个
food.
到了这个拉拢的时候呢，就是有一部分人就是，
But we
今天
can
我遇到一些客人，就是他们说哇，
kind of
震撼了，你们这里多
understand
辛苦
from from our related or our relevant experience.
每个人都看到很慈悲的，就是
I received a guest today, a few guests today, one of which said, everyone's so pure over here in Larungar. They're all like bodhisattvas. And another one told me that I can't stay here anymore. If I continue to stay here, I'm going to die. People perceive the same phenomena, the same environment in very different lights. This is very profound. And it's not that easy to understand. Or to take it into your heart. As a story of a Chinese poet and a master, a Zen master. The poet said to the master, I perceive you as this really filthy object. But the master said to the poet that I perceive you as a golden Buddha. So the poet was very happy when he went back and he told that story to his sister. But his sister is actually quite high in realization, and his sister told him, I think you lost in such a debate because apparently the Zen master has much higher realization. Therefore, he perceives you as a golden Buddha. It is you who perceive him as filthy that has a filthy mind. I think all of us should have lots of confidence, lots of joy, happiness. You should know that your afflictions are no other than the body mind and no other than wisdom. Maybe that would help you to reach to a higher realization, at least to be happier. So, Shariputra, if a person's mind is pure, he sees the merit and ornaments of this land as pure. And at that time, the 500 young men all achieved forbearance of non-arising of Dharma. And 84,000 people all generated the intention to achieve the supreme enlightenment. In Tibetan version, it says 84,000 two times, but not in the Chinese version. And then the Buddha withdrew his transcendental power. The world returned to its former appearance. The Pure Land, which is the true nature, only appeared temporarily because not everyone's mind is pure. It is through the transcendental power of the Buddha, with the blessings of the Buddha, the sentient beings actually had a moment when their minds are pure, so that they perceived the Pure Land. But it was only temporary. Then the 32,000 gods and humans who sought the Shravaka vehicle understood the conditioned dharmas were all entirely impermanent. See, to understand and practice on the impermanence is so important, because if you just contemplate on impermanence, you could distantly transcending sensory defilement and attain purity of the Dharma eye. And at the time to attain purity of the Dharma eye is actually already arrived or attained the fruition of Shotanapana. And at that time, all of the contaminated afflictions were all eliminated. The 8,000 bhikshus now experiencing of the Dharma, their minds liberated by elimination of the flaws, which is attaining the arhathood. So studying such pure mind and pure land understanding, this is very important. This is very similar to the Sutra, to the Vajrayana teachings. Due to the constraint of time, I can only give you a little taste of it. In fact, it expands more in the later chapters. Over here, it's more on the aspect of Buddha land. So this is from a Sutrayana point of view. So today we'll stop here. From tomorrow onwards, we'll get into the second chapter, that is skillful means.